Okay, moving on to Oklahoma State. This is always a fun trip to go to Stillwater. Got a lot of ties with Stillwater and Oklahoma State. Always a great place to go coach a football game. It's a great place to play a football game. Great place to watch a football game. It's a spectacular facility. They've got a great fan base, great crowd. Doesn't matter what time it's going to be, they're going to be there. It's homecoming. It's going to be full. It's going to be fun. They got a good quality team. I mean, Coach Gundy's done a great job this year, as he always has. These guys are playing well. Had an unfortunate loss earlier in the year, if you can consider it a loss. I guess now that I got to prepare for them, I got asked this question by somebody as far as what should happen. Didn't have an opinion after studying it and all that, and it's kind of obviously unfortunate. Had a tough loss at Baylor. We know Baylor's playing well. This team could very easily be sitting at 7-0. And that's the way that we got to approach it. So, they're playing good as of late, scoring a lot of points. Offense is getting into a rhythm, playing well. Look pretty healthy, look pretty multiple to me. So taking care of the football, not turning it over very much, doing good on third down, converting in the red zone, throwing the ball a lot. It all starts with their quarterback. Mason Rudolph is probably the best pure pocket passer that we have in our league. Probably considered one of the better ones in the country when it comes to that. Doing a good job of protecting him. Got great receivers that he's throwing to. The Washington kid, 28, makes a difference. He makes plays in each game. Can score at any time. He came out of nowhere a couple years ago. Last year, at some point, mid-season last year, just burst onto the scene and has been playing extremely, extremely well ever since then. So we got to make sure we know where he's at all times. They'll get multiple with their formations. They got good tight ends and fullbacks and a stable of running backs that they can put back there. So they're very multiple with their formations. The run it, but the thing that scares you more than anything is just their drop back passing game, getting the ball downfield and scoring in a hurry. They're averaging 40-some points a game. They're capable of scoring more than that. So we got to be on guard with what they're doing. I know we'll be prepared to be able to go against that. Defensively, got a lot of respect for Glenn Spencer. They're a tough bunch to go against. Glenn was there when I was there. He's a smart guy. Gets very creative in his schemes. Gets his guys playing hard. They were a tricky bunch last year to go against, and they're the same thing this year. They lost the first-round draft pick in Ogba and a good corner, good linebacker. Everybody else is back. It's the best safety bunch that we've went against. Got good quality corners that can run. Their backers are always in position, and their front is they're thick kids that plug gaps that. Do a great job. So it's a tough group to go against. You got to be very sound with your schemes. You got to identify what they're doing, and then you got to maintain blocks. Probably the best thing that they do is get off blocks and make tackles. Special teams is always an area that you got to pay attention to. They're extremely solid in their kickoff and punt coverage units. They got the Grogan kid, all-time leading scorer at Oklahoma State, 4-year starter, been around there for a long time. Is extremely solid in the kicking game. He can make kicks from anywhere. And then they've blocked how many kicks at Texas game? It seems like they blocked 4 or 5 of them, but they do a good job with special teams. Coach Gundy's very influential in that, spends a lot of time with it, and they'll be ready to go. So big challenge. I said this last week. Thought TCU was going to be our biggest challenge of the year. Arguably it was. I thought our guys played really well. Watching the video, going back looking at it, I think we played well on all 3 sides of the ball. Great team win. it was incredibly excited about that. Got to keep moving forward, and this is a huge test for us. Playing on the road is hard. Playing in Stillwater is difficult, and then these guys bring challenges in all of the phases, and will be tough. And our guys are going to understand that. They're going to know it. They're going to prepare hard for it. We're going to go get ourselves ready to play Saturday, and it should be a fun atmosphere and fun game to be a part of. So with that, we'll take some questions.
Dana, their run game years past.
I'm just going to start asking for your question first, Coach.
I'll jump there. Years past, they have, since you left, their run game's been up and down at times. It looks like it's better this year. Is that accurate?
They got good quality backs back there. The Carson kid's back from should be back from an injury. He did well against us last year. It's not their backs. I think their cohesiveness up front's been an issue, which I see has been addressed, been resolved. Got a lot more experience now. There's 4 or 5 guys that are highlighted here that played against us last year. So they got a lot of guys back, and with that you're going to see improvements. So their run numbers are up, their run yardage is up. They're running the ball 35 times a game now. And they're not. They're not probably as happy with it as they want to be. I know that's a huge area of emphasis with Coach Gundy. I'm sure they worked on it hard over the last couple of weeks, especially with their bye week, and we need to be ready to stop the run.
It seems, at least from my perspective, that your guys are taking each game as that, as the biggest challenge that they faced this year. How nice is that to have a group of guys that, takes that approach? It's like, okay, we eclipsed this challenge, but here comes next biggest challenge.
It's just life in the Big 12 is what it is. I mean, this is the 5th year in the Big 12. We got a lot of seniors that understand it. You just look around college football. I mean, you got to get ready to play every game. Big 12 is obviously no different, and we've been a part of it for 5 years now. Got guys that sit in this front row right here that have been a part of it for 5 years. Got older guys that have been around and understand it. So the only way that you win is by getting yourself ready to go and preparing hard for it, going out practicing hard on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then going and putting your best effort forward. So makes my job probably a little easier than having to yell and scream and motivate and talk about the importance and educate on the $500+ million facility that exists in Stillwater, that attracts top-notch recruits and excellent coaches and a fan base that expects to win. That sounds pretty damn challenging to me, right? They've won, 17 out of their last 22 games? I'd say they're going to be pretty ready to play, and they're going to expect to win as well.
William Press was wearing a different jersey number last week. What's the plan for him moving forward?
Now see what he can do to play football. He's that type of kid. He just wants to play. So we're trying him on a couple of different special teams and seeing how that works out.
Given a choice, Coach, would you take a team with a lot of talent or a team that plays with a lot of chemistry?
Both, which is what we got. I think we got excellent chemistry that guys are like each other. I've said this every week since I've been here. They like each other. They hang out a lot and got good rapport with each other, fight hard for each other. Coaching staff enjoys coaching them. I'd like to think that they enjoy being coached by the coaching staff. You'd have to ask them. And I think we got players. I think Mike Joseph develops players as good as anyone in the country in the weight room. I think Ryan Dorchester does a great job of identifying talent, regardless of what the stars are and what specific people say about them. We figured out how to recruit older kids when it comes to grad transfers and junior college players and 4-year guys. That's what you're looking at now. So guys, the guys have worked hard and developed, and based on how we've practiced and what we're doing on our specific schemes on the specific sides of the ball, we've developed guys into pretty good football players. I think the NFL scouts kind of like stopping by as well. And they'd probably tell you exactly what I just said.
And Mike said yesterday that when he brought you in because he felt his philosophies maybe or whatever didn't fit the personnel that he had. What did he tell you about why he hired you, and what did you bring over there that they didn't have maybe, or?
Oh, he just Brandon Whedon. That was going to be the quarterback. So he's a drop back pocket guy, kind of like they got right now, in Rudolph. So I guess my track record was okay when it came to coach this guy how to complete passes. So I implemented a system, and I learned a lot from them as well. This has been the kind of a yearly discussion when it comes to this, but took some things from them that helped shape where I'm currently at, and I think they took some things from me. Mike took some things from me that where they're currently at. I'm probably more like him 5 years ago now, and he's probably more like me than 5 years ago now, which is kind of interesting.
Coach, you talk about the quarterback being probably one of the better offensive passers in the league, and then last week you guys had a couple turnovers, so and the defense has done that, so I know it's going to be a challenge to get that, but overall, in any aspect, whether it would be fumbles or interceptions, I mean, those kind of plays, the defense has really, the last couple of weeks, stepped up and made those plays. I know it's going to be a challenge, but obviously, you're looking at possibly that's going to be something key playing at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, they do a good job of holding on to the football. They do a great job of creating turnovers. That's part of the game. I focus on other things. Like the one thing that I was disappointed in last week was the 3 turnovers that we got. Only one of them was from our defense, which Rasul did a great job of breaking on the ball and ran that thing down 30-some yards. That's been a priority in this room with our team. He did a great job of that. And then just hats off to our coverage units. Our kickoff unit did a great job of covering. Coach Scott's doing a good job of coaching these guys up. You got to get the right guys. You got to get their assignment down. You got to work on their technique, and you got to get them to play with a lot of effort before a turnover exists in that phase. So we've got all that right over the last couple of weeks, and really improved our coverage units. And then we made a couple of plays. Shane Commodore made a play. Marvin Gross made a play. We only scored on one of those 3, and that's what's disappointing to me. The only downside that I can say on the game was we only scored on 33% of our turnovers. If you want turnovers to make a difference, you got to score. So I can argue that the turnovers didn't play a big part in why we won last week. Just my philosophy.
Yeah, you were talking about quarterbacks that they have scholars now across the board, top 15 quarterback nationally in statistics. Where has he made leaps or strides?
Oh, he's just a ball player. He'll be the first to tell you he didn't play his best game last week. I don't think he did either. TCU makes it hard on you. He's just a ball player, though. He, did a great job in the run game. I'd say this. I've been saying this when nobody was saying anything good about him. The guy makes the right checks in the run game. He understands what we're trying to do. He makes the right checks. He keeps it when he's supposed to. He hands it when he's supposed to. He holds the edge. He scrambles around in the pass game and gets some first downs. Does a good job with our draws, getting positive yards. Pass game, he's made strides. Just the intermediate stuff we've talked a lot about. Completion percentage is up about 16% from where it's been his first 2 years, which I think is sitting at 66, 67%. You know, so I think he's overall, his leadership skills is probably what I've seen more than anything. You know, his practice habits, the way he attacks the game plan, watching video, making sure he understands exactly what we're wanting him to do, and then cultivating relationships with his teammates in the locker room and all that. I think he's improved greatly on.
David, as late as August, Giddy sounded worried about those corners being able to let his defense do what he wants to do. What did you see out of that group in spring? Did you think they could be as solid as they were? I mean, it seems like Brazil's made big leaps. You didn't know maybe what you had in Antonio Crawford yet for sure. What did you see out of those corners?
I think they've gotten better every day. I give Blue Adams a lot of credit for just drilling them day in and day out. I mean, the reason we hired Blue is because he's a master technician. So he's hard on his guys. He's demanding. You know, Rasul has gotten better, making plays, comfortable, understands, you know, the scheme and understands the technique. Elijah Battles came out of nowhere. I mean, he wasn't even in the two deep the first month of the season, and he gets better and better and better. Well, there's one explanation for it, is that he's getting coached. And you know, Maurice Fleming's been a player of the game at corner. Antonio Crawford went in after that call that nobody wants to talk about. Went in there and fought his tail off against some pretty good receivers. So I think there's one explanation for it. Nana Kyron made a play against BYU to win the game. I think there's one explanation. Those guys are getting coached hard, and they're getting better every day.
Bringing up the targeting. Second straight week that it was, as you looked at it, maybe with West Virginia glasses on, it wasn't a clear-cut case. In regard to the most recent one involving Battle, how are you supposed to play that if you're the corner? Did you ask that, and did you submit that in question? What are we doing here?
We submitted last week's, and it came back like I thought it would. You know, I mean, I understand how these things get looked at, and we look at them, and I got to be pretty careful with how I respond to this, but we look at it through West Virginia's angle. They look at it through the referee's angle, right? So they're going to justify pretty much everything that they do. I don't care. I don't agree with it. I sat in here in a team meeting and I said, I can't ask you to do anything different. The level of the defender went from here to here. And you can see Elijah go down from here to here and his head turned. I don't know. I can't ask him to do anything else. And the fact that they reviewed it is baffling to me and upheld it. So I worry about what we teach our players. And I get the integrity of the rule. I agree with the integrity of the rule. I agree with the rule. And I think coaches across the country have done a much better job of teaching tackling the right way, including us. I can't ask our guys to do anything different than what they did the last couple of weeks. So.
And you said that the turnovers, not scoring off them, was the only thing that bothered you. You gave up 5 sacks this week, which was one more than you had all year combined. Your offensive line must have blocked great running wise, but pass defense, pass protection. Which is the offensive line, and where are they? I mean, how do you handle that? Was that simply just
couple of them were on Skyler. Couple of them were on Skyler. A couple of them were on coverage. I mean, TCU's as good as anywhere in the country at that. They've led the country in sacks before. A couple years ago, they led the country in tackles for loss. I mean, they're good. That's why we didn't throw it a whole ton. So, you know, O-line's got to do a better job pass protecting. Skyler's got to do a better job of getting the ball out of his hands. Receivers got to do a better job getting open. I got to call better plays. You know, it wasn't great. I'll be the first to admit we were pretty average on offense last week. TCU probably had something to do with that.
with Justice Hill, their running back, last week had a heck of a game. I mean, and take nothing away from Kansas, but maybe the competition wasn't as strong. But like you said, every week's tough. What problems does he present for your defense that we're gonna look at to stop him?
Yeah, they turn and hand it to him, and he runs to the hole if one exists. So our job's to make sure one doesn't exist. That back from TCU was spectacular, I thought. But Hicks, goodly, he was pretty dang good. You know, we're going to face backs moving forward that are pretty good. So
You're looking at things from a coach's standpoint. Does it make it easier when you see, make it easier for you when you see Ohio State lose to Penn State? I mean,
Did they?
I think they did. I guess it doesn't make it easier for you then, does it?
don't pay attention to any of that. I mean, I pay attention to who's on our schedule. More the ones that are ahead of our schedule. I ain't got time to sit there and look at all that other stuff. I mean, there's a lot of games I'd like to watch. There's a lot of games that I'll study in the off season, but there's only so much time in the day. I can assure you it's spent on the task at hand.
What makes an upset like that? Or you know, is it a team not being ready, or a team being ultra ready on the other side? Or
If I had the answer to that, Bob, I wouldn't be standing here. I mean, I don't know. It's a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old kids. I mean, there's a lot of parity in college football. Is it game plan? Is it motivation? I don't know.
Do you feel that you've been able to dictate the pace of games the way you wanted to both offensively and defensively this year? Whereas, how important has that been, just kind of everything?
Huge. So, yeah, I mean, I can do whatever we want on offense tempo-wise. I mean, not production-wise or points-wise. I mean, I'd like production to go up. I'd like points to go up. Tempo-wise, we can do what we want. I think you've seen that. So we're comfortable doing what we need to help win the game.
Dan, you've had 6 games now with Wick up in the coaching box, which is sort of new to him. How did he take it when you first told him he was going up there, and what contributions has he actually made?
Don't listen to him. He's been up there before. He's fine being up there. He's fine being on the sidelines. He could probably go get a Coke and sit in the stands and be just fine. So he's doing a great job. He does a great job throughout the week of game prepping and getting a good game plan together. Coaches the heck out of our scout team with doing the right stuff, getting the guys on offense to play good. You know, and then throughout the course of the game, it's good to have another set of eyes up there that are saying, here's what they're doing, here's what you need to do to attack it. So it's working out well.
Is there anything specifically he's done to kind of enhance your game prep through the week that you can kind of point to and say, like, this is something we didn't have last year and he's really made this better?
It's just knowing what the opponent's doing. He's a pretty seasoned coach. He knows what they're doing. He has a lot of knowledge of the Big 12, so he knows guys' tendencies. He knows what they're doing defensively and does a good job of putting it down on paper and helping coming up with the game plan to the point to where we can put our guys in the best position we can. And then there's the prep throughout the week. You gotta go against looks, and you gotta get guys used to seeing what they're gonna see. And then there's in-game adjustments as well.
Can you explain your philosophical change with fullbacks and tight ends? I mean, you recruit them when you first got in here, now they're a major part of what you're doing. Where'd that come from?
I don't know. I mean, we've used them. Used them at Oklahoma State when I was there a little bit. Kind of like they're doing now. It's all based on personnel. I mean, I had Cody Clay here. I thought he was a good blocker, so we used him a little bit. It allows you to game plan a little bit more. I guarantee you, Gary Patterson wanted to see 10 personnel, 2x2, 3x1 every snap. He would have been pretty tickled to see that. So being able to be multiple is big with a game plan. There's only so much you can do out of 2x2. There's only so much you can do out of 3x1. But being able to add gaps and, be able to get into different looks, come up with a lot of different formations with backs and fullbacks. It's tough to come up with a lot of formations with just straight 10 personnel.
Dana, it's still a little bit early, but you are in a college football playoff race, sitting at 6-0 in top 10. Have you talked to the kids about the noise outside and how to deal with that?
I can assure you I'm not going to respond to a college football playoff question, but the second part of your question is very relevant, and I think we got a group of kids that understand where we're at. Our job is the same going into Game 7 as it was going into Game 1. It's look, you have a week. You prepare all week and you practice hard. Get yourself in position to play on Saturday. And then go play. Our guys like where they're at. Based on what people are saying or the attention, I can assure you has no impact on them whatsoever to how today's practice is going to be and what they're going to do to prepare to win this game this Saturday. That message has been sent loud and clear. And guess what? It was sent loud and clear August 1st. So we have goals ahead of us. We're not anywhere close to being in position to meet any of them.